A bunch of big announcements this week. Penny Arcade Expo is heading to Australia, Black Mesa Source is eyeing off an official release, and Red Orchestra 2 heads to the Pacific. Ubisoft has a big week. Sony returns to Helgen with a revamped trilogy release. City of Heroes faces a dim future. Phoenix Wright is headed to the 3DS. FarmVille is back. Beta testing kicks off for StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm. Kirby fans set a new world record. A couple of games get new names. And we get a proper look at the fantasy of Rift Storm Legion, all in this week's edition of Player Attack. Hi, I'm Jessica Citizen. With PAX Prime now out of the way for 2012, it's time to start looking to the future. And apparently for Penny Arcade, the future means Australia, with Mike and Jerry confirming the super popular expo will be heading down under in 2013. It is the first international PAX to be held, and that's something that's disappointing the brand's European fans. However, according to Penny Arcade, it was a simple matter of survey responses. The Aussies just wanted it more. No announcement just yet on where the expo will be held or just when, but stay tuned, 2013 really isn't that far away. Something else that's not that far away is the long overdue release of Black Mesa Source, a full conversion mod for Half-Life 2, which retells the story of the original Half-Life via the Source engine. It has been in the works forever, but this week saw the official website updated with the countdown timer ticking down the seconds towards to September 14th. Project lead Carlos Montero explains that it won't quite be the complete game. A couple of sections won't be finished by then, but the team has decided that fans have been waiting long enough already, so the game will go live without them. And speaking of mods, Red Orchestra started life as a total conversion mod for Unreal Tournament 2004 before being developed as a standalone game in 2006. The sequel, Red Orchestra 2 Heroes of Stalingrad, was released last year to great critical acclaim. Now it seems we're up for another round, as the team at Tripwire have decided to take one of the game's in-progress mods and release it as a full standalone version. This is Red Orchestra 2 Rising Storm. Previously, the franchise has focused entirely on the Eastern Front, but this time things have been taken to the Pacific, facing off against the Japanese armed forces. With maps covering virtually the entire region, including Iwo Jima, New Guinea and Saipan to name a few, Rising Storm has been designed with an eye for asymmetrical gameplay. The Japanese are clever and have some tactical advantages over the US troops, but the Americans get some pretty nifty weapons which the Japanese simply cannot use. There's no date for this one just yet, but Red Orchestra 2 Rising Storm is expected to be out before the end of the year. It's been a big week for Ubisoft, who held its Digital Days event in Paris. The first bombshell from the publisher didn't actually have anything to do with the gaming showcase, but instead came out a few days earlier. Simply put, the French company is scrapping its controversial always-on DRM, which has been causing problems for gamers for years. Ubisoft says, "We hear you," and has implemented a new policy that simply requires a one-time online activation, and then you are free to play the game offline as often as you'd like. This is particularly good news given the other announcements which came out of the festivities. I Am Alive hit PC a week early for no apparent reason, but we're not complaining. We were also officially introduced to Sir Painhammer, the charismatic star of Ubisoft's first foray into free-to-play gaming, the mighty quest for epic loot.
This is my castle. There are many like it, but this one is mine. Come on in.
It's being developed out of Ubisoft Montreal, a studio better known for big-name projects like Assassin's Creed and Far Cry, but this one is a little bit different. Instead of sticking to traditional tower defense strategies, the developers decided to flip things around a little in this multiplayer game. While one person has the standard task of trying to survive a dungeon full of monsters, the other gamer is the one responsible for just how many nasties, traps and enemies the dungeon contains. We're not sure just when the mighty quest for epic loot will hit shelves, but Sir Painhammer is accepting beta sign-ups, so if you're interested, you'd better pay him a visit.
My people, sons and daughters of Helgen, for many years we have been a broken nation, shunned, oppressed, and conquered by those we sought to escape. 10 years ago, I asked for time And that time was granted by you. You, the strength in my arm, the holders of my dreams. In the time you have given me, I have rebuilt our nation. I have rebuilt our strength. And I have rebuilt our pride.
Earlier this year, plans for a downloadable re-release of the original Killzone were scrapped without any explanation. It's taken Sony 6 months to tell us why the game wasn't released, but realistically, it's a pretty good excuse. The original Killzone, which hit PlayStation 2 back in 2005, has now been completely polished up and prepared for release on PS3 as part of the super shiny Killzone Trilogy Pack, due out in mid-October. You'll not only get all 3 Killzone games, but Guerrilla Games is also throwing in all of the multiplayer map packs for good measure, meaning you will have plenty of fun things to explore. In other, less happy news, the world's first superhero MMORPG, City of Heroes, will be closing down by the end of the year. Publisher NCSoft explains that a realignment of company focus has resulted in the closure of Paragon Studios and the game's sunset by the end of September. But there is a glimmer of hope. While gamers have rounded up more than 14,000 signatures on an online petition, Paragon management is reportedly in discussion with NCSoft and third-party investors. Few quick things. Phoenix Wright is returning in Ace Attorney 5, coming to 3DS sometime in the not-so-distant future. No need for objections either. Capcom has already confirmed the game is definitely coming to the West. Zynga has released the long-awaited sequel for FarmVille onto Facebook. The cleverly titled FarmVille 2 is built entirely in 3D and makes good use of Flash Player 11. Following on from last week's classification news, StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm has entered closed beta testing, with a handful of lucky gamers invited to check out this space-age RTS before anybody else. And speaking of beta testing, while we still don't have a release date for Epic Games' Fortnite, we can tell you that the PC-exclusive Unreal Engine 4 title will be getting a closed beta test in early 2013. And while at PAX last week, more than 500 Expo attendees met up and blew chewing gum bubbles in honour of everybody's favourite pink blob, Kirby. That's 536 Kirby fans who are now part of a recognised world record. It is the most people blowing a chewing gum bubble simultaneously. Other than being a bit of fun, the bubble blowing was actually also to celebrate Kirby's 20th anniversary and the upcoming release of Kirby's Dream Collection Special Edition. E3 2011 saw an interesting trend possibly sparked by the success of Left 4 Dead. The 4-person co-op genre took the event by storm, with new titles announced by both EA and Ubisoft. It's been more than a year since, and we hadn't heard much from either Insomniac Games about Overstrike or Gearbox Software about Brothers in Arms Furious 4. That is, until this week. In the space of just a few days, we found out that both games have now changed their general approach to life, boasting revamped storylines and tweaked art directions. So, may I introduce to you Fuse, formerly known as Overstrike, a team comprised of a reformed mercenary, lifelong thief, gifted young scientist, and a crossbow-wielding detective. A countdown timer on this one suggests that we will know more about what's going on in 5 days or so. As well as that, there is Furious 4, which has unceremoniously scrapped the Brothers in Arms title after developer Gearbox realised the game was heading in a direction away from the core of the franchise. After a year in development, the company explains it needed to be unshackled, so it's moving forward with a new standalone game, promising a re-reveal a little later in the year. And finally this week, a good look at the eagerly anticipated Storm Legion expansion for Tryon World's MMO Rift. This one's been in the works since before the original game launched last year, and the developers have just set a date. You will be able to get your hands on Storm Legion on November the 13th, anywhere in the world.
Slept so long. Hate fuels power.
Rift Storm Legion will be available in 2 pre-order editions, the Standard Edition, which comes with the in-game Storm Warden's Cape as well as early dungeon access, but there's also the Infinity Edition, which packs a Portal Generator, Cyclone Mount, and a mini Regulus, which packs all the evil destruction and mischief of the original in a tiny pocket-sized package. For the full version of those trailers, or for more information on any of these stories, head to playerattack.com. I'm Jessica Citizen. We'll see you next week.